Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 4. Chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita is called Gyan Karma Sannyas Yoga. In simple words, this chapter explains how to act with the right understanding and how to remain peaceful while doing our work. In Chapter 3, Shri Krishna tells Arjuna that he should not run away from his duty. In Chapter 4, Shri Krishna takes this idea further. He explains that simply doing work is not enough. We must also understand why we are doing it, with what mindset we are doing it, and what purpose lies behind it. Work itself does not bind us. We become bound when our work is driven by ego, selfishness, incomplete understanding, or too much worry about the result. Suppose two people are doing exactly the same work. One person keeps thinking, "What will I get from this? Will people praise me? What if I fail?" Such a person remains disturbed even while working. The other person also works with full effort but focuses on doing the work properly. That person does not become proud after success and does not completely break down after failure. Both people may be doing the same work, but their way of thinking is different. This is the difference Chapter 4 explains. Work done without knowledge can move in the wrong direction. And if knowledge remains limited only to thinking and speaking, it may not create any real change. When correct understanding and correct action come together, work is no longer only a way to earn a living. The same work can also help us become better from within. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavana Ham Vyayam Vivasvan Manve Praha Manu Rikshvakave Bravit. Shloka 4.1 Evam parampara praptamimam rajashayo vidu sakale neha mahata yogo nashtah parantap. Shloka 4.2 Shri Krishna says that this knowledge is not new. It has been passed down from one generation to another since ancient times. But as time passed, people gradually forgot its true meaning. Many times the words remain, but the real idea behind them is lost. Every important area of human knowledge grows in the same way. One generation receives knowledge from earlier generations. It studies that knowledge, tests it, adds new ideas to it, and then passes it forward. Albert Einstein is a good example of this. Einstein did not begin science from zero. He studied and understood the work of earlier scientists. But he did not simply accept their ideas and stop there. He asked new questions. He wondered, does time move at the same speed everywhere? Is distance always fixed? How do speed and gravity affect time? These questions led to his theories of relativity. His work changed the way we understand time, space, light, and the universe. At one time, his ideas appeared to be only difficult scientific theories. But today, those theories are also used in technologies such as GPS and satellite navigation. For a satellite to give the correct location, it must take into account the effect of speed and gravity on time. Einstein's example shows us how knowledge moves forward. First, we understand earlier knowledge. Then we test it. We ask questions about it. We add something new. And after that, we pass it on to future generations. The same principle applies to the knowledge of the Gita. The wisdom of the Gita does not remain alive simply because we memorize or repeat its shlokas. We must understand the thinking behind them. Then we must see how that understanding connects with the problems of life today. Sa evayam maya tedya yoga proktah puratana. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hye taduttamam. Shloka 4.3
Shri Krishna tells Arjuna that he is sharing this ancient knowledge with him because Arjuna is both his friend and someone who truly wants to understand. This brings out an important point about the relationship between a teacher and a student. Knowledge cannot be forced upon someone. No matter how much we explain, the message will not reach a person who has no real desire to learn or understand. A learner must have trust. The learner must listen with an open mind, and when necessary, the learner must be willing to examine old beliefs again. Arjuna does not accept every word of Shri Krishna without thinking. Whenever a question arises in his mind, he asks it. Sometimes his questions come from emotion. Sometimes they come from logic. But his questions are sincere. He is not asking questions to win an argument. He truly wants to understand what the right path is. Shri Krishna also does not tell Arjuna to remain silent and simply obey. He answers every question patiently. That is why the Gita is not merely a book of instructions. It is a deep conversation between two people. On one side is Arjuna, who is confused and asking questions. On the other side is Shri Krishna, who helps him think, understand, and take the right decision. Ajopi sanna vyayatma bhutanam, mishvaropi san, prakritim swamadhishtaya, sambhavam myatma mayaya. Shlok 4.6 Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyutthanam dharmanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Shlok 4.7 Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Shlok 4.8 These are among the most famous shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita. Shri Krishna says that whenever dharma becomes weak and wrongdoing begins to grow, he appears to protect those who stand for what is right, stop destructive forces, and restore dharma. Here, dharma does not mean religion. It does not mean one particular faith, method of worship, or religious custom. Here, dharma means truth, justice, responsibility, and the kind of behavior that allows both individuals and society to function properly. Not treating weaker people unfairly, fulfilling our responsibilities, standing with the truth, and not misusing our power. This is dharma. Adharma means lying, injustice, cruelty, corruption, taking advantage of weaker people, and misusing power. These shlokas clearly say that Shri Krishna appears in every age to restore dharma. This means that in every age, great people and leaders will be born who stand for what is right and fight against adharma. In this sense, Nelson Mandela became a Krishna-like figure for his people by fighting apartheid. Abraham Lincoln played a similar role by standing against slavery in America. In India, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar fought against social discrimination and worked to give equal rights and dignity to every citizen. Such people appear in different times and places, but their purpose remains the same: to oppose injustice and restore truth, equality, and justice. In today's life, the direct meaning is that we should not accept injustice by thinking that nothing can be changed. When people oppose slavery, discrimination based on race or caste, violence, corruption, and the misuse of power, they help bring justice and balance back into society. An honest judge who protects an innocent person stands on the side of dharma. A journalist who brings hidden wrongdoing before the public stands on the side of dharma. A doctor who serves people during a difficult time also stands on the side of dharma. An ordinary citizen who refuses to support something wrong is also standing with dharma. These shlokas do not tell us to sit quietly and wait for someone else to come and fix everything. They ask us to look at our own responsibility. We must ask ourselves, are our actions strengthening truth, justice, and responsibility? Or are our silence and selfishness giving more strength to those who are doing wrong? Every generation has its own Kurukshetra. Times change. The way conflicts are fought also changes. But the struggle between right and wrong always remains. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tans tathaiv bhajamyaham. Mam vartmanu vartante
Manushya Parth Sarvasha. Shloka 4.11. Shri Krishna says that every person moves towards truth and knowledge according to their understanding, nature, and circumstances. Not everyone learns in the same way. Some people learn through school and college. Some learn through experience. And some people have an unusual ability to understand a particular subject. Srinivasa Ramanujan is a very good example. Ramanujan did not get many opportunities to study advanced mathematics through formal education. He was not trained in the same way as the leading mathematicians of his time. Even then, his ability to understand numbers was extraordinary. He discovered many new mathematical formulas and methods. He saw connections between numbers that even some of the greatest mathematicians of that time could not easily understand. Many of his formulas were far ahead of their time. Even many years after his death, mathematicians continued studying his work and proving his ideas. Ramanujan's life shows us that intelligence and knowledge do not come through only one fixed path. The ways of learning may be different, but the search for truth and knowledge can happen through any path. This shloka teaches us to respect the different ways in which people learn. It also tells us that knowledge does not belong only to people with big degrees, high positions, or a lot of money. Kim karmeti kavyo apyatra mohita. Takte karma pravakshami yaj gyatva moksha se shubhat. Shloka 4.16. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmana. Akarmanascha bodhavyam gehna karmano gati. Shloka 4.17. Karmanya karmiyah pashyet karmani cha karmiya. Sabuddhiman manusheshu sayuktah kritsna karmakrit. Shloka 4.18.
Shri Krishna says that even very intelligent people can sometimes get confused about what is right action, what is wrong action, and when doing nothing can itself become wrong. So it is not enough to look only at what a person is doing. We also need to understand why they are doing it, what is going on in their mind, and what effect their action will have. Sometimes an action may look very good from the outside, but behind it, there may be greed, ego, or a desire for praise. On the other hand, even a very small act can make a big difference in someone's life. And sometimes, doing nothing is also a kind of decision. Staying silent when something wrong is happening can indirectly support the wrongdoer. Delaying a decision can make someone's problem worse. Ignoring a danger, even when we know about it, is also a way of avoiding responsibility. Climate change is a clear example. Today we know that the Earth's temperature is rising. We also know that pollution and the excessive use of coal, petrol, and diesel are harming the environment. After knowing all this, if we still keep delaying important decisions, that is not simply doing nothing. Future generations will have to pay the price for this delay. To see inaction in action means to remain calm inside even while doing a lot of work. For example, a surgeon may perform a difficult operation for many hours. The surgeon's full attention is on the patient and the operation. At that moment, the surgeon is not thinking about how much praise or recognition they will receive. The surgeon is fully active, but not filled with panic or ego. And to see action in inaction means to understand that silence and delay also have consequences. Suppose a manager in a company sees corruption but chooses to remain silent. That silence may give more confidence to the people doing wrong. Suppose someone sees an injured person on the road but refuses to help. Even that person's decision to do nothing has an effect. If a government knows about a serious danger but keeps delaying action, that delay can also lead to major consequences. So Chapter 4 teaches us that we should not judge an action
only by how it looks from the outside. We must also look at the thinking behind it, the intention, and the result it may create. Yasya sarve samarambha, kama sankalpa varjita, jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamaho, panditam buddha. Shloka 4.19. Tyaktva karma phalasangam, nitya tripto nirashraya. Karmanyabhe pravritto api, naiv kinchit karoti sa. Shloka 4.20. Shri Krishna says that a wise person does not do everything only for personal benefit. Such a person does not keep calculating. What will I get? How much recognition will I receive? How much praise will people give me? This does not mean that goals, money, and results are unimportant. They are important, but our peace and happiness should not depend completely on them. If we keep thinking only about our name, position, and credit, even good work can become stressful. India's Chandrayaan program is a very good example. The Chandrayaan 2 lander could not land safely on the moon. It was a major disappointment. But the scientists did not treat it as the end. They sat down and studied what had gone wrong. They carefully examined all the available information. They improved the areas where changes were needed. Then they started working on Chandrayaan 3 with better preparation. The successful landing of Chandrayaan 3 showed that failure can be turned into learning. And that learning can make the next attempt better. This lesson is not limited to a space mission. In our own lives, failure should not mean that everything is over. What matters is that failure teaches us something. And when we succeed, we should not become arrogant. Success should make us more responsible. A person with the right understanding does not give up after failure. And after success, that person does not start believing that they are better than everyone else. Yadricha labha santushto, dvandvatito vimatsara, samah siddhava siddhocha, kritvapi na nibadhyate. Shloka 4.22.
Shri Krishna talks about a person who is not jealous of others and remains steady in both success and failure. This does not mean that the person does not care about results. It simply means that success should not make us proud, and failure should not completely break us. Today, we keep comparing ourselves with other people. On social media, people show their achievements. They show their money, holidays, beautiful pictures, and happy moments. But we usually see only the best part of their lives. We do not see their problems, failures, doubts, or loneliness. When we keep comparing ourselves with others, jealousy and dissatisfaction begin to grow. This shloka tells us to first work on our own weaknesses. Try to become better than the person you were yesterday. Someone else's success does not make your hard work less valuable. A wise person can feel happy for someone else's success. They can learn from their own failure, and they can move forward without carrying bitterness in their heart. Brahmar param brahma havir, brahmagno brahmana hutam, brahmaivatena gantavyam, brahma karma samadhina. Shloka 4.24. Chapter 4 gives yajna a meaning much wider than a physical ritual. Yajna can be understood as disciplined contribution in which our time, ability, knowledge, money, or comfort is offered for a purpose larger than personal gain. During the COVID-19 pandemic, doctors, nurses, researchers, sanitation workers, and many others continued working under extremely difficult conditions. Researchers across institutions and countries shared information and worked to develop vaccines, tests, and treatments. The global response was not the achievement of one person. It depended upon accumulated knowledge, cooperation, and the willingness of people to place a larger human need above personal convenience. A parent sacrificing time for a child, a teacher helping a weak student, a citizen donating blood, a scientist sharing research, or a volunteer helping after a natural disaster can all participate in yajna. The central question is simple. Is my work only for myself, or does it also contribute to something larger? When work becomes an offering, it no longer remains merely a transaction in which every effort must immediately produce a personal reward. Shreyaan dravyamaya yajna, jnana yajna parantap, sarvam karma khilam parth, jnane parisamapyate. Shloka 4.33. Shri Krishna says that the offering of knowledge is greater than the mere offering of material objects because every meaningful action ultimately depends upon understanding. Material help can solve an immediate problem. Knowledge can change the future. Food is essential for a hungry person, but education and skills may help that person become independent. Medical treatment can save one patient, but medical research may later save millions. Dr. C.V. Raman's work is a powerful example of knowledge becoming an offering to humanity. Raman was deeply curious about the nature of light. Through careful observation and experimentation, he discovered that when light passes through a substance, a small portion of it changes its wavelength. This became known as the Raman effect. His discovery later became the foundation of Raman spectroscopy, which allows scientists to study and identify different materials. Today, Raman spectroscopy is used in medicine, pharmaceuticals, chemistry, material science, forensic investigation, and several advanced technologies. Raman began with the scientific question about light. The knowledge produced by that investigation later became useful in many areas of human life. This is Jnana Yajna, the offering of knowledge. A discovery made through discipline and curiosity can continue serving people long after the life of the person who made it. Tadvidhi pranipaten pariprashnen sevaya. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Shloka 4.34. Shri Krishna explains that knowledge is acquired through humility, sincere questioning, and dedicated effort. Humility does not mean blind acceptance. The shloka specifically includes pariprashna, careful, sincere, and repeated questioning. A genuine student respects experience but also asks for evidence, clarity, and meaning. This teaching is extremely important in the age of social media and artificial intelligence. Deepfake videos, synthetic voices, and AI-generated images can make false information appear completely convincing. A statement may be repeated thousands of times and still remain untrue. Chapter 4 offers a practical discipline. Examine the source. Ask questions. Consult people who possess genuine knowledge. Compare claims with evidence. Remain willing to correct yourself. Information may now be available instantly, but wisdom still requires patience, discipline, and judgment. Yagyatva na punar mohamevam, yasyasi pandav. Yen bhutanya sheshen drakshasyatmanya thomai. Shloka 4.35.
Shri Krishna says that true knowledge removes confusion and helps us understand that all of us are connected. We may live in different countries, families, and societies, but our decisions do not affect only us. A virus can spread across the world. Pollution in one place can affect the weather somewhere else. An economic crisis can affect the jobs of people living far away. False information can create fear and tension across society. So knowledge does not only make us wiser, it also makes us more responsible. Yathe dhansi samidhognir bhasmasat kurute Arjun. Jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha.
Shloka 4.37. Shri Krishna compares knowledge to fire. Just as fire turns wood into ashes, true knowledge can remove the ignorance that makes us repeat the same mistakes again and again. This does not mean that knowledge erases the results of our past mistakes. Suppose we made a poor financial decision, damaged a relationship, or failed in an important responsibility. Simply feeling guilty will not change anything. We must understand where we went wrong, accept responsibility, and try to correct the damage as much as possible. When a mistake becomes a lesson, it no longer controls our future in the same way. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitrameh vidyate tat swayam yoga sansiddha kale natmani vindati. Shloka 4.38. Shraddha va labate jnanam tatpara sanyatendriya jnanam labdhva param shantim achirena dhigachati. Shloka 4.39. Shri Krishna says that nothing is more cleansing than knowledge. Here, knowledge does not simply mean reading books or collecting information. It means the kind of understanding that gives us direction and changes the way we see a difficult situation. Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, is a good example. Frankl survived the Nazi concentration camps. He explained that when we cannot immediately change a painful situation, we can still choose how we respond to it. This does not mean that we should simply accept suffering. If injustice can be stopped, we must oppose it. But when a situation cannot be changed immediately, having a purpose in life can stop us from falling completely into despair. In Shloka 4.39, faith does not mean blind belief. It means the trust needed to begin learning. A student must believe that regular effort will improve understanding. A patient must trust a qualified doctor. A researcher must believe that careful study can lead to an answer. Agyascha shraddadhanascha sanshayatma vinashyati. Nayam loko asti na paro na sukham sanshayatmana. Shloka 4.40. The Gita does not stop us from asking honest questions. Arjuna himself asks many questions. But doubting everything and never making a decision can become harmful. Healthy doubt asks, what is true? Unhealthy doubt says, I will never be completely certain, so I will do nothing. Tasmad gyan sambhutam hritstham gyanasinatmana chitvainam sanshayam yogamatishthottisht bharat. Shloka 4.42. At the end of the chapter, Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, use the sword of knowledge to cut through ignorance and doubt and rise. Knowledge is not meant only for thinking and discussion. It should be visible in our decisions, our work, and the way we fulfill our responsibilities. Knowledge is not a way to escape from the world. It is the light that helps us move beyond fear, selfishness, and confusion, and gives us the strength to do what is right.
If you enjoyed this video and would like to explore the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and other great epics of Bharat, please consider subscribing to Mahakavya.